The next major hit to the auto market isn't coming from sedans, it's coming from trucks. Thousands of unsold pickups are sitting idle on dealer lots. Some models are already showing early signs of decline, prices are slipping, incentives are increasing, and, buyer confidence in resale value is quietly fading. The uncomfortable truth is that this outcome was engineered from the start. Which trucks face the greatest risk? Why is the timing especially dangerous right now? And how much value could vanish by 2026? This isn't a forecast, it's already happening. Start with the Ram 1500. Luxury didn't destroy this truck overnight. Subtle engineering trade-offs did. Ram 1500 models equipped with air suspension for the 2024 and 2025 model years entered the market promising comfort without compromise. Adjustable ride height, smoother highway behavior, and strong showroom presence drove early interest. But beneath the refinement lies a system that resale markets increasingly view as a liability rather than an asset. Air suspension introduces compressors, airlines, moisture traps, height sensors, control modules, and complex software coordination. The system only works when every component performs perfectly. Cold weather stiffens seals, road salt corrodes fittings. Even slight sensor misalignment can trigger warning cycles that disable leveling. Once issues begin, repair paths escalate quickly because manufacturers often replace bundled assemblies instead of individual components. The market is already responding. Used trucks with air suspension sit longer. Price cuts appear sooner. Once warranties expire, asking prices drop sharply. Dealers quietly factor future suspension replacement into trade values, reducing offers, even when vehicles show low mileage and clean histories. Repair costs are the core concern. What starts as a minor ride height issue often leads to compressor replacement, valve block service, recalibration labor, and software updates. Expenses pile up fast, pushing owners toward full system replacement rather than selective repairs. Many ultimately convert to traditional coil springs, signaling to future buyers that the original system failed. Resale markets punish uncertainty more than inconvenience. Worn upholstery can be priced, broken glass can be replaced. A complex suspension system with an unpredictable lifespan forces conservative valuation. That pressure spreads through auctions, wholesale channels, and dealer inventories, accelerating depreciation faster than normal aging would suggest. As incentives rise on new inventory, used prices compress further. Buyers compare discounted new trucks with complicated used ones and choose reliability over features. The gap between original sticker value and real transaction prices continues to widen. Ram 1500 air suspension models aren't declining due to neglect. They're losing value because complexity erodes trust faster than marketing can rebuild it. And if suspension technology can undermine confidence this quickly, software-heavy platforms show how rapidly risk multiplies when manufacturers promise seamless updates and effortless ownership, promises history rarely supports. Now consider the Chevrolet Colorado. Technology was supposed to enhance control, but instead it introduced instability at highway speeds. The redesigned Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon for model years 2024 and 2025 arrived modern, digital, and competitive on paper. In reality, resale markets are already reacting to issues that won't age well once warranties end. So, these mid-size trucks rely pretty heavily on integrated software to manage things like braking, steering assist, cameras, sensors, power delivery, and driver alerts. When all those systems communicate properly, the experience, well, it feels polished. But when they don't, problems can escalate really quickly. Reports of phantom braking, false obstacle detection, frozen camera feeds, and those cascading warning alerts have actually reshaped buyer perception long before high mileage even becomes a factor. Depreciation follows perception, Wholesale buyers start discounting risk early on. Dealers, well, they lower trade values defensively, anticipating diagnostic time that's honestly tough to price. Mechanical repairs, they definitely have limits. Software issues, though, introduce a kind of uncertainty that goes way beyond just the cost of parts and gets into real downtime. The market, it recognizes this difference. Trucks with electronic instability often need dealer-level intervention, not just an independent repair shop. Updates depend on things like manufacturer approval, training availability, and these evolving back-end systems, delays, they increase carrying costs, rental expenses, and, yeah, buyer hesitation. Even with efficiency gains and performance improvements, you just can't offset that kind of exposure when competitors are offering simpler alternatives. So, as a result, used values fall faster on platforms that are, well, perceived as electronically fragile. Auction activity reflects this shift quietly, but pretty consistently, with lower opening bids and quicker reserve adjustments. Safety-related features that are added to meet regulatory requirements often just increase complexity without actually improving durability. That disconnect, it drives steeper value losses than traditional mechanical wear ever did. If software instability can damage confidence this early, low demand alone can collapse resale value. No matter what features, incentives, or marketing are in place, but that collapse only accelerates when production outpaces demand. Incentives blur the true pricing signals, and dealers, well, they quietly reduce long-term exposure, bracing for sudden write-downs as calendar pressure builds across wholesale markets. If this is already changing how you think about truck values, well, engaging helps spread awareness as prices continue to move. Now look at the Nissan Titan. Neglect doesn't announce itself loudly, it shows up as silence. The Nissan Titan and Titan XD from model years 2024 through 2025 occupy a strange space. They aren't disastrous trucks, they aren't standouts either. They're overlooked, and, resale markets punish indifference more harshly than outright failure. Sales volume tells the story. Low turnover limits buyer familiarity, weakens demand signals, and discourages long-term investment. When new trucks don't move, used pricing loses its anchor, dealers hesitate to stock them, auctions hesitate to bid, value fades. Titan depreciation accelerates because, well, market memory really matters. Rival full-size trucks stay visible through fleets, advertising, and frequent updates, while Titan just disappears between cycles. That absence, it actually trains buyers to negotiate aggressively, or just walk away. Incentives, they temporarily hide the decline. Discounts might move inventory, but they reset perceived value lower. And when those incentives end, used prices struggle to recover because reference pricing has already collapsed. Markets remember those signals. Fuel economy, aging interior design, and minimal technology updates all add pressure. None of those things alone would ruin resale, but together they signal stagnation. Stagnation redirects capital elsewhere. As manufacturers shift resources, uncertainty grows and long-term commitment really becomes questionable. Even well-maintained examples suffer, because resale depends on future confidence, not just past care. Titan and Titan XD aren't undone by scandal, they're victims of strategic drift. When a product feels optional to its maker, the market treats it as disposable. Toyota Tacoma illustrates this pretty clearly. Trust erodes fastest when certainty has gone unquestioned for too long. The 2025 redesign carried decades of earned credibility built on simplicity and durability, and that legacy just amplified expectations. So, when priorities shifted, the market responded quickly. The new Tacoma introduced turbocharging, expanded electronics, and tightly integrated systems. Performance improved, efficiency increased, but resale markets focus less on specs and more on early ownership behavior, and those signals are now raising concern. Tacoma resale strength historically relied on assumption, not inspection. Buyers paid premiums based on reputation. The redesign broke that shortcut. Pricing now reflects scrutiny rather than faith. Dealer behavior confirms the shift. Trade offers vary more widely by year. Listings sit longer. Incentives appear where premiums once dominated. The changes seem subtle, but subtle shifts drive large corrections over time. This isn't a rejection of Toyota as a brand, it's a reset of expectations. When a product moves away from the traits that defined its value, markets respond defensively until confidence is rebuilt. Tacoma still performs, it still attracts attention. What it no longer commands, automatically, is unquestioned resale leadership. That distinction matters as 2026 approaches and competition intensifies. If a decades-long reputation can soften this quickly, the next example shows how a single powertrain decision can inject even deeper uncertainty, steepening depreciation curves as unanswered questions outpace confidence in an increasingly tight resale